Intergenerational teams as a force for change. Intergenerational collaboration, I assert, is going to be used more frequently and will possibly become a field of study in the very near future, in the days, weeks, and months ahead, and years ahead. Why? I'm going to provide you with a couple of factoids that will provide some foundation for my assertion. Number one, for the first time in U.S. history, 5 generations are working arm in arm as part of the U.S. workforce. First time. 2, millennials have passed baby boomers as the most populous generation in the U.S. Millennials, give yourself a hand. 3, Generation Z, the third most populous generation in the U.S., is soon to pass millennials this year. Okay, Generation Zs? Come on, let me hear it. All right. This topic is extraordinarily important to me. Some of what we've done over the last several years, we've kind of usurped ourselves, kind of taken ourselves out of being responsible for taking action on the many issues that are facing not only our country, but our world. And if we look back at an earlier generation that preceded us, we call them the greatest generation ever. And that generation said they looked tyranny, they looked evilness in the eye and said, not on our watch. And what they did was said, we're going to go and kick some tail. And they did. Imagine where we would be if they had not done that. So where are we now? We're in a similar situation right now where we need, as a set of generations, and I've chosen to look at millennials and baby boomers. Why? 1, we are a major part of the workforce. We are presently the 2 largest generational populations in the U.S. So it's our opportunity to get our hands in the mix. And instead of saying they should take care of it, we say, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to catalyze the change. I'm going to start. Stay with me on this, please. So our challenges are this way. First of all, we have so much to offer. Different generations coming together, and we're hearing more and more and more about this change. Part of our challenge is we are not talking to each other. How can we affect change if we don't talk to each other? First, we have to connect. Secondly, we have to talk to each other. And we find out at some point we are more alike than we are different. We will see this. This is happening. It is here. This is a characteristic of who we are. Let's keep that in mind. You take that with you, okay? When you have the opportunity to step up and meet and greet that cross-generational colleague, do that. Do that. Don't listen to the myths and misrepresentations. I know if you go out on Google, you say millennials are, and it just dumps. Okay, like, oh. Okay, stay with me. On a typical weekday morning, Malcolm, my 22-year-old son on a break from college, returns home from his graveyard shift job at UPS. While he prepares himself a meal, which he can do, he and I launch into our daily state of the world conversations, okay? That cover topics that include work, personal goals, politics, history. It includes those. Interestingly, these are not griping sessions. They're not confrontational. Yeah, it gets a little heated at times. And then my wife gets recruited to act as a referee. She's not in this picture, but she's in that room with a striped shirt on and a whistle. And she's basically calling fouls, technical fouls, and she's also enforcing timeouts. And I get a little testy. Nobody asked you. No, okay. It helps. Malcolm often expresses frustration with the current social political climate, bureaucratic work processes, and outdated social protocol. I do too. But in the process of discussing all of this, Malcolm then says an issue's an apocalyptic remedy. Tear it down and start something new. And my retort to him is, wow, he sounds just like me when I was his age. And I'm amazed. Malcolm is a millennial. Yet his young life seems to be mirroring mine. When I was his age, I was steeped in the cultural upheaval and activism of the 1960s and 70s, when galvanizing events unified my age peers from ensuring or expanding the voting rights of all citizens to dissenting to end the war in Vietnam. Famously, older generations and baby boomers were separated by different points of view. We just couldn't get along. Many of you know what I am talking about. And today, older and younger generations are separated, are painfully separated again today. And this needs to change. My hope is that our ability to communicate across generational separations is modeled in my home every day. In fact, I think about our daily conversations as a laboratory. We're in a laboratory, learning how to cultivate collaboration. Very important. Again, we're talking to each other. We're learning about each other. That is what happens in the lab. We are now more aware of how we think. We are now more aware of how we are the same. Very important. Notice, at some point, we've reached an accommodation. And in fact, if you think about everything that we've experienced and all this turmoil that we've seen over all these prior years, my son has been exposed to war continuously since he was a wee tot. Unfortunately, he did not get to see the Chicago Bulls and remember them being good. He didn't get to do that. He did sit on my lap, but he couldn't remember it, and that's unfortunate. But he's seen other things. And I remember as a child being similar, where I saw other things come in and enter. We had plastic toy planes. We had models that we could make that were largely about tearing apart our society, not putting it together. Once again, let's look back at a prior generation that put us where we are today, and we have to step up. We have to make this happen. We cannot give that away. I'm extraordinarily passionate about this. We cannot yield. We must come together. Our survival interdependency is real. It's all of us. We should also look toward potentially embracing the collectivist principle of one for all and all for one. There's an opportunity to do that, to step up to that aspiration. We might not get all the way there, but it's what we should be doing. And we have a chance to affect a change. Baby boomers and millennials, the two largest U.S. generational segments. That's a mouthful. It's very challenging. I'm prone to delivering a lot of syllables, okay? And I like words. But if we look at our challenge going forward, part of our challenge and opportunity is to come together, affect change. But there's some definite possibilities that we won't step up to it. We will not step up to it. Are we going to sit back and say, well, they need to do it. He needs to do it. She needs to. Our representatives need to do it. Are we going to step up and say, it's us? It's us. I've taken that to heart. That's who I am. I'll share a little bit about how I got here. I was raised on Chicago's South Side, which was then, as current, afflicted by violent street gangs. The unfortunate thing was that there were violent street gangs. The fortunate thing is that I could see myself reaching beyond that environment and projecting myself beyond being an inner city product settled in violence and crime or poverty and crime. At the age of 12, I decided I wanted to be an engineer. And I attended Lindblom Technical High School on Chicago's Southwest Side. By the time I was a junior, Purdue University said, hey, we'd like for you and 5 of your classmates to come and attend the university en masse in the engineering program down in West Lafayette, Indiana. My challenge was, and continued to be, how am I going to, 1, gain admission, 2, afford it? It was then that a cross-generational, an elder, stepped into my life and changed my life. That elder was Bob Mason. Around the time Purdue started recruiting me, Bob Mason moved 2 doors down from my home. And miraculously, he was not only an employee of Purdue University, but of their black student programs, which was set up to establish and generate more diversity in the student body. Bob, once he found out about me, Bob decided that, okay, when I showed interest in Purdue, Bob showed interest in me. Bob was about 20 years older than I. Bob was focused, friendly, and loyal. And he looked at my life, and he affected change. He embraced not only myself, but my colleagues, my high school colleagues. All right, now, here's the deal. So Bob stewarded the creation of a full scholarship to the university for all 6 of us. And the 6 of us were the first of inner city Chicago students who attended the engineering program. Okay? Now, here's something interesting, and I'm going to share this with you, and I am cognizant of my time, okay? But here's the thing. All 6 of us could not walk away from Bob's dedication to us. We had to. We felt compelled to accept that admission to the university and that full time, that full scholarship. Bob was a good man. Bob is the reason I'm here. He's the reason that I'm here to talk to you about the power of intergenerational collaboration. Bob and others, parents and so forth. So, let me share with you. I envision, and the reason, and what I desire and envision is that baby boomers and millennials collaboratively join together to trigger a renaissance, a modern renaissance, a spiritual, social, political, environmental, and cultural change. It's on us. It's on us. So I'm going to cut this short. I have an exercise. So here's one thing I'd like to share with you. E pluribus unum. That is our national motto. What does it say? Translated, out of many, one. Okay? That is our opportunity. That's how we should be moving forward. This is how we should be thinking. This is where we should go. And we can do it. And we need to do it. We can't stop. If we sit back and wait, our survival as a species, it's hanging in the balance, folks. We hear a lot of stuff. Let's go. Let's get after it. Okay. So there's 4 tenets, 4 things that we should do to move forward to establish our collaboration. Connect. Reach out. Meet a cross-generational colleague. To kickstart the collaborative. Communicate. Extraordinarily important. Again, we cannot affect change if we're not talking to each other. So engage in early, purposeful, and frequent communication. Clarify. Dismiss the myths and debunk all the misrepresentations about each generation. Catalyze. Faith is demonstrated in works. So faithfully and urgently take action to generate the collaborative, to form and basically provide it with more substance, fertilization. That's where we are. I hope that this has been of some value. And I appreciate your being here. Now, I've got one last thing I'd like you to do. So can I see all millennials stand up and raise your right hand? Come on now, it's just you just standing. I didn't ask you to run. Okay? Secondly, can I see all baby boomers stand up and raise your left hand? Okay. All right. Now, all other generations, stand up and raise both hands. Okay, here's what I want you to do. If you see a cross-generational colleague, someone right nearby you, then reach out to them and meet them and greet them and say hello. And if you're not right next to them, then look at them across the room and wave. And then when you go outside, then you go out there in that lobby, then you see these folks, and we will establish our cross-generational collaboration. Thank you very much. Thank you.